According to some research, 40 to 50% of youth that graduate from a youth group or a church fail to continue with their faith when they go to college. Only 20% of students who leave their faith during college planned on doing so during high school. That means the remaining 80% intended to stick to their faith but didn't. As Christian parents, we strive to raise our children to love the Lord, to serve others, and to carry their faith with them throughout adulthood. But maybe we're just not doing enough. In today's video, I want to share with you a powerful new resource that I believe can change everything. Hey guys, it's Vani from Mrs. Mom's Homeschool and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I make videos to help you on your homeschooling journey. And today I want to talk about raising our children to be godly adults. And I have a wonderful resource that I want to share with you guys that is a totally new kind of character development program. As Christian parents, we want our children to be raised to love the Lord and to carry their faith on to their children as well. But in today's society, they are bombarded by messages that are opposing what the Bible is teaching. Maybe leading by example, sending them to church, to youth group, and summer church camps is just not enough. Maybe there's something more that we can do. After all, it is our job to help prepare them to be godly adults. And that is where this book, Chasing Adulthood, comes in. It is a new program that allows your children to dig into the Bible, study alongside a mentor, learn various character traits, serve their community, and memorize scripture. The assignments, the reading, the service projects all layer the learning, making for a meaningful experience as they deal with real-life applications. The book is broken up into a chapter for each character trait so that you and your student can study that trait for an entire month. It is broken down into weekly segments. It also teaches the opposite of the character traits so that your student can learn to avoid that. They need to understand positive and the negative in order to choose and do what is right. For example, servanthood versus self-centeredness, sexual purity versus sexual immorality, discipline versus laziness, compassion versus indifference, integrity versus dishonor, courage versus cowardice, self-control versus self-indulgence, humility versus pride, obedience versus disobedience, wisdom versus foolishness, and forgiveness versus anger. So you've seen a couple of my other videos where I was talking about this character training book called Laying Down the Rails. When I went to the homeschool convention, I saw this one, Chasing Adulthood. It's called Chasing Adulthood, an interactive character study guide for Christian tweens and their families. So I definitely had to stop and take a look at it. So what makes Chasing Adulthood different than from Laying Down the Rails or any other character study that I've seen? Number one is the opportunity for your child. And this is for boys and girls. But number one is the opportunity for your child to work closely with a mentor other than mom and dad. When kids have the opportunity to have a relationship with an adult that's not just their parent, that is a person that you trust and is a respected Christian adult and role model, that can leave a major impact in their life. And that is part of the program itself. These mentors work with your child to help teach them the character traits, to help them study it and teach by example what it means to live a life of discipline, humility, courage, and so on. Some mentoring sessions could be a one-time meeting or it could be an ongoing relationship with your child. That is the part I'm gonna have to figure out. Who do I trust enough to be a good role model to my son who I'll be using this with? Another thing that sets this program apart is the option to have an end of the course celebration ceremony that is welcoming your child into womanhood or manhood, kind of like a bar mitzvah does to welcome young boys into adulthood. As Christians, we don't have anything like that. So this gives you a bunch of ideas that when your child has done this book to celebrate in some sort of way. Another thing that's different about this curriculum is the service opportunities. They're encouraging your kids to get into service opportunities, to be servants, just like Jesus was a servant and calls us to be servants. And this can also help for your children who are doing their Bright Futures hours to get those scholarship hours. But it's perfect because it ties into a curriculum that you're already using. And they're not just serving just to get these hours, they're serving because it's a character trait that they're learning to develop. This is not a book where you just hand to your child and say, here, fill out the pages. This is definitely a one-on-one parent to student guide, because how are we going to be able to teach them if we're not hands-on with them teaching them. So if you're looking for something you just want to give your kid and say, fill out these pages, then this is not going to be the curriculum for you. But if you're looking to help to grow your children into spiritual, mature Christian adults, and you're willing to work side by side with them, walking them hand in hand, then this is definitely something for you to look into. Let's look at a chapter here that, just to give you guys an example of what a chapter would look like. And this is a subject that us as parents really have to worry about today, since you can't even go to the beach without seeing everybody's butt cheeks hanging out. And it's really impossible for our boys to keep their minds pure and our girls to try to fit in when everyone else is looking and doing a certain thing. So this chapter is sexual purity versus sexual immorality. So every chapter has a monthly planning page. You have the month and the character trait. You have the homework each week and all the checklists here. You have your mentor, and the mentor gets to sign the days that they met. This is a space for the memory verse, the historical figure being studied, any biography or autobiography that they may want to read, the sexual purity study guide title, service projects, dates the projects will be completed, and if there were notes, papers, or research inserted into a binder, you would circle yes or no. Then first they would talk about sexual purity, and there's a note here for parents. Down here we have the scripture study. We have a bunch of different Bible verses for you to really dig in, not just read them to your student, but really help your student to understand what they mean and to really talk about these Bible verses. Then you have a story here in the Bible, Genesis 39, where you're going to be talking about Joseph. That's going to be their biblical figure study. The pitfall of sexual immorality. There's some more scripture study here. Here's some biblical figure study again. Read 2 Samuel 11 about David. And then here it says homework part 1. You have some questions about the stories that the child has read, and they're going to answer those questions. For example, number 2 says, do our choices to remain sexually pure exempt us from persecution? Why or why not? Just different things for the kids to think about. You have some more Bible verses here. There's a little section for the parents. It says this question is optional based on your child's maturity and readiness to discuss this controversial topic. And it talks about the culture of LGBTQ plus lifestyle. Then it just has different questions about that. It tells you that if you want more information and resources on this topic, that there's more in the resource guide in part 4 of the book. And then over here is becoming a woman of purity. This section is for women. It gives a note to the parents first. And then there's some questions for the girls. Okay, and then becoming a man of purity. If you're doing this with a young man, this section is going to be for him. Then you have homework part 2. It's a note to the parents. And then here's the historical figure study. They're going to choose a person from history, past or present, whom they feel exhibits qualities of sexual purity. And then they're going to do this little study here. And then if they want to read a biography and autobiography, this is going to be a space where they can write it out if they want, or you can type up the report. The media option here says, is there a movie or documentary on the historical figure that you chose? And then this is a section for the mentoring, who to choose a mentor and what you're going to do with the mentor. There's a journaling page. What, if anything, did the Lord imprint on your heart during the study of purity? What are your thoughts and questions about this topic? Do you struggle with any kind of sexual immorality, etc.? And then there's a discussion here about a purity ring, which I love this idea. Then we have a questionnaire for the parent. What type of ring does my son or daughter like? Do we have to engrave it? How do we want to present it, etc.? And then you have some alternative learning activities. You can do all of the activities or so just some of them. So activity 1 is read or have someone read to you the verses for sexual purity and scripture study at the beginning of this chapter. Make a list of all the things you hear that show Joseph's commitment to honor the Lord. And there's just like a bunch of different activities here. Each chapter is going to have a similar layout, but just different activities, different people to study, different questions, obviously. Different sections for the boys and girls, different projects, different topics to discuss with their mentor, etc. So guys, if you are looking to raise a child to be a Christian adult to keep their faith after they leave your home, definitely take a look at Chasing Adulthood curriculum for your homeschool. It doesn't even have to be for homeschool. This is not just made for homeschoolers. This is just made for parents and kids in general. So whether you are a Christian parent of a child who goes to public school, Christian school, or is homeschooled, you can use this either way. You can just do less of it if your child is in school, because sometimes they have more homework and outside activities and things like that to do. So if you are interested in this curriculum, I'm going to post a link in the description below for you to check out where you can get it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and we will get those questions answered for you. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos, and I'll see you in the next video.